Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Larkin, one half of the Steve and Mike Show. www.steveandmikeshow.com is up and running, where you can hear such shows as you're about to hear today. This is another edition of On the Mic with Mike, and I am pleased to have on the beautiful, the lovely Miss Breana Khalo. Breana, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to meet you, Michael. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. I mean, we've seen a lot of your stuff being done in the modeling and the adult industry. There's a lot of stuff to cover here, and I'm happy to give you the platform to tell your story.
I'm excited to tell it.
All right. Well, first and foremost, let's start from the beginning with you, Miss Khalo. Tell us how you got involved into the adult entertainment industry, and just how did your career in the adult industry come into fruition?
Wow, well. So before the adult industry, I was just your regular Instagram influencer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was promoting my plus size brand, which I still do. I still have my bathing suit. It's all handmade. So I started, with my little business online on Instagram, and then I venture into what I'm doing now, which is psychology. Eventually, I would like to become a sexologist. So I started to get involved with like sex podcast and other sex advocates and influencers. So my Instagram started to turn into just like this regular Fashion Nova how, when you're just doing like the whole Instagram modeling into talking about mental health, talking about sex ed. And eventually that gets me actually shut down from Instagram. And I'm like, well, while I, build up my Instagram again, where do I turn? So I turn into Twitter, and Twitter is how it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Twitter is super sex friendly, and I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna start doing my thing here. And eventually that got me to, certain connections, and then I was curious to know what was like to be on XBiz and whatnot. So I email XBiz, I send them my information. I'm like, listen, this is what I do. I would love to be, like a speaker for your convention and stuff like that, because I am not in the sex industry yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back then, I'm just this Instagram influencer. And I go to XBiz, and that changed everything completely. And that happened this May of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to XBiz with the expectations of only like meeting people to like interview and like maybe learn more about the sex industry, sex workers, all their issues and stuff. And first thing is like, I'm an introvert. So at the beginning, I see like everyone naked and like super open. And I'm like, oh, like I would love to just do that. Like, not that I wasn't confident, but it was definitely a different world. So the second day, they had a topless party. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go all for it. So I dressed with this like Frida Kahlo, kind of like skirt and like look, and that's how my Breana Kahlo name is born too. So it's all this like crazy, like, oh, I'm just trying out, I'm just doing this and I'm just doing that, and then XBits, it just leads me to meet all these industry people. And what I hear constantly is like, wow, you will do so great in your niche. You're pretty, you're this, you're confident, you're outspoken. And in my head, I'm like, I've always wanted to do porn, like since I was young, I'm like, oh, porn star must have like the craziest life. So I was very, motivated. And I wasn't alone, which was a great part, like, it's not like I was just trying to get in the industry. It's like the industry pulled me into, all that I'm doing now. So that's how it started. I went to XBiz. I met amazing people. Honestly, people in the sex industry is, the most open and welcoming out of anyone that I've ever experienced before. It was just a very open environment. And that is what made me feel confident on joining the industry, because I saw that the quality of people that belong to the industry is amazing.
Now, first and foremost, I'm glad to see you in the industry, and I also that you actually segue, because I just want to say I see you doing your stuff on Instagram. You have a lot of great photos. You're looking beautiful as always, and I'll say that you're a beautiful woman. You're very welcome. But I mean, you get to show that from the modeling standpoint. I'm just going to say this right now, as a man that loves all women, and I'll say this to you, and I've told a lot of my guests this. Two of my biggest influences in my life are my women, my mother and my grandmother, God rest her soul. And I appreciate women for the beauty, strength, and dominance that they exude and accentuate, and for the work of art that they are. So I don't, and I love the fact that you're doing your thing with the modeling aspect as well. You look good, plus size modeling, just a lot of beautiful women
Yes.
there. So I gotta say this to you, I'm all for it. And like I said, as a man, I can appreciate the work of art that are women, and I will say this to you: you are a work of art, Miss Khalo.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm very flattered. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I think that's, you know what it is too. I think just the world that we live in, and we're gonna get to society. And I actually wanted to bring up the mental health thing in a second here, but I just got to say this. I think as people, I think the body shaming, the fat shaming that goes on nowadays, I think it
Yes.
stopped because people need to have like that open mind. Like you have to realize it's not just all about looks, and the internal and external beauty could just be about like personality, and doesn't always have to be about looks. But I think with you, and you talked about body confidence, I love the body confidence of you ladies, because here you are, this is me, and it just shows who you are as people. And I gotta say, I admire you for that part of it as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to say that I've always advocated for self acceptance, for body positivity, but you don't really understand what is to really love yourself
Mm-hmm.
until you really have to expose yourself, like the most intimate. Like I was playing it safe per se when I was just doing me,
Mm-hmm.
but once you go out in the industry, everyone can see you. Like every single flaw that I was able to maybe hide or make up before is no longer. So for me, honestly, after my first scene with Plumber Pass, I have to say, like, looking at the pictures, like, it took me a while. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready. But I swear, I saw myself and I'm like, wow, bitch, you got this. Like, I saw myself, like, you're not perfect. Like, every single flaw is in there, and you look like you're having fun. You look pretty. And that changed me.
And I look at it like this. I did see your Plumber Pass stuff as well, and I did write that down because I wanted to touch upon that, because Plumber Pass, very big website, for the BBW side of things and that side. And I saw your shoot. I think it came out very well, and a lot of people don't even realize like those photos and the work that goes into producing such an intimate film. And I think your Plumber Pass shoot came out great.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun.
And that's the thing too. Like you look at all these websites, and what's interesting us about us as human beings. And I know I'm kind of going a little deep with this, but we're all into like different stuff. We're all very unique as people. We all have our certain niche, our certain fetish, if you will. And I think you're bringing the fantasies, sweet, sweet, sweet fantasy baby, to quote Mariah Carey. Me and Mariah go back like House of Fire. Rest in peace, ODB. But I digress. You're bringing the fantasies coming to life, and you, for what you're doing in your job there, I have to say you're doing it well, and you're providing a lot for your audience.
Thank you. Thank you. I do put all my heart. I swear. I do. And it's hard work. It's like what you see, only 30 minutes of the 8 to 9 hours that we are there making sure that everything looks fine.
Well, I gotta say this to you. I mean, you also look at, for when we're talking about the BBW category as well as all the adult entertainment industry. I think the awards help. You got BBW awards, you got your AVN, you have a lot of great awards and conventions that you get to meet a lot of great people at and get to interact with a lot and be awarded for, like, your Super Bowl, your Grammys, your Emmys, as far as in the award categories. And I'd like to see you get some awards and for the future, and just do what you do as well on that front, because that's going to be very
Uh,
exciting when that happens.
I know it's gonna be big. I am actually nominated to two awards on BBW Awards. One
Nice.
is for Best New Starlet, and the other one is next Shape of Beauty. I'm sorry, model. I'm pretty stuck. I was not expecting it. I'm like, wow. Like not to just say that I'm humble, but like I just felt like I didn't deserve it because I haven't given them my all. Like there's a lot more that I'm working on and that I want to show. So when I got nominated, I'm like, oh my god, like my fans are just the best.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, after this, and I'm going to say this right now, you have my vote, number one. And number two, I will say this. First and foremost, I've had Carla Lane on the show. What she's doing with Shape of Beauty, those are a lot of great scenes. I've seen your scene.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot with Alexa Gray, Carla herself. That is a great makeup, that what she's done with Shape of Beauty.
Yes, yes. I believe that Shape of Beauty is how porn is actually leaning towards. It's more like a story tale and a lot more like sophisticated scenes. Like people are getting more demanding on the quality, and I feel like that's what they're aiming.
Exactly, and I think what she did from the directing point standpoint, I've seen a lot of scenes, whether it be in like the shower, whether it be in the kitchen, whether it be in the bedroom. You take whatever room you're in, and you just provide the most intimate setting and the most intimate. Again, I'll say the word pleasure going into the scene. Point pun intended in a way, but still, and I think it adds a lot. It adds a lot to the film, and I'm not trying to be like pervy there, but that's true, and it adds a lot to your
Yeah,
scenes.
true. That's what we all like.
Exactly. You know what it is too, and like you're talking about, you always wanted to get into the adult entertainment industry. So I'll take you into the male point of view of this. I think, 13. You're like. This is like the sexual awakening. Like you're starting your teens. You're going through puberty. You're experiencing changes that you don't understand, and then we all go through it. I mean, let's not like we don't, people. We all go through it.
Hey,
So
no, I was a big consumer when I was little.
there you go. But I think what really opened my eyes, and I'll swear to you, I don't even know if they're still doing this. I always tell this story. The first ever like porn site, adult site that I came onto was a site called girlshuntinggirls.com, and the premise is there's like two girls in like a van or whatever. They pick them up, and then the scene starts, right? So that kind of opened it. Now we see how X Hamster, you mentioned X Biz and X Videos, and all these sites. I mean, they provide a lot of great content for people. So I mean, it's kind of like easier to stream and look at all stuff like that because you get to see a lot of great content in different categories, and that also helps. And that also helps to get people interested in people like yourself to see what you're doing your work wise, and which we're going to get into a lot of your scenes here. But I gotta say, you're providing a lot of avenues. You really are. All you ladies are.
Yes, yes. It's a lot of hard work. Like each one of the platforms that we're given, it's full time work of its own, full time job. I'm sorry, of its own. You have no idea how much goes into actually making money on each platform because uploading a video is the easiest thing to do. Anyone can do it, but you actually having to grow your brand. I have to wake up every day, I swear, at least at 6:30, and I don't go to bed until maybe 3 or 4 a.m., and I'm still not down. Like it's so much, so much. It's really, that's why we are always saying, like, maybe people don't get it, like, oh yeah, sex work is real work, but oh, I swear, it is real work.
Well, I will say this. I think, like you mentioned, it's real work. I think any job that a person has, and I think with this, we should not diminish and discredit the work that people do for a living. I mean, some may think it's a simple job where it's not like a real job, but I know it's a job, the work that you put in. I even say this as a podcaster. I mean, the hours that go in editing, I'm not even going to sleep till like 3 or 4 because you want to put out the great product.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you do, whatever endeavor you pursue, you want to have the great content. You want to provide a platform for people to listen to and enjoy the content.
Yeah, I think like everyone that is a web creator or web entertainer, like you and I know that this doesn't come up out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a hard daily job.
Well, and I will say this, and first and foremost, even before we even do this podcast, I'm going to say it to you on air. I like you. I really do. I truly like you. I think you're one of the great people and the true pros in the biz, so I got to also credit you for that as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Well, first and foremost, before we even get to the scenes, I actually wanted to touch upon this because we mentioned a little bit earlier, being a mental health advocate. Now, here's the thing, me being a positive person, I like having positive energy and helping people and just not trying to put people down. I think we need a lot more of that in this world because there's, unfortunately, a lot of negativity being spewed and a lot of hate that goes out in
Yeah.
this world. For you, I think I got to give you credit on that, just being a mental health advocate because helping with people with mental health. I know people with mental health. One of my best friends goes through mental health, so I try to help him as much as I can. But yeah, it's real out there, and I commend you for that as well.
Yeah, I myself have that cocktail of mental illnesses.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So it makes me very empathetic, to understand what others go through.
Mm-hmm.
And mental health is such a stigmatized but real issue. And the thing is, it really goes back not only into like what people believe stigma is, it really goes back to what psychologists are actually able to do with mental illness. So we are so far behind, even on our diagnosis. I'll say formula just to say something, but we, as a psychologist, you have the DSM-5, and the DSM-5 has not changed since, I don't know, 50 years ago. So go figure. That's why, attacking mental health in a proactive and effective way is so hard, because from the basis of people that are meant to be able to work on this, we're still, tied down, and we're still limited because we have to follow guidelines because it's a health industry. We're not just solo. You
Exactly.
always depend on someone.
Exactly, and as someone who's an epileptic and has had neurological problems and has dealt with depression like we all have, I know a lot of people can relate to what we're talking about here. So if we
Hmm.
can send that message out to people, like, please, you're not alone, and just like I say, I'm going to say this to everybody: stay strong, because you got to stay strong in this world, and just not let anybody get to you. You know what I'm saying?
No, at the yeah, you're right. And my best advice for anyone that goes under mental illnesses, first of all, I know it's really hard sometimes to even get medical help. It is a problem that we have in the United States, but there are plenty of hotlines, websites, and plenty of other places that will do it, for free. You just have to dig. And if there's anyone that is interested, or if there's anyone that is in need of help and they don't know how to get the help, they're more than free to message me on my Instagram and we'll go through it together. But don't stop looking, don't stop seeking for help just because you don't get it, in the first time. And also you have to understand that when you're seeking help, you actually have to be open, because our biggest mistakes is that when we go to seek help, we want to hear what we want to hear. We're not open to actually what the psychologist or whoever your mentor is telling you to do. So that's where we fail the most. We stigmatize ourselves. We label ourselves when, you know what, I have a personality disorder and I own it, A personality disorder can be cured, actually. That's what most people think, that once you're born with, I don't know, um, obsessive compulsive, or if you have borderline personality, that you're that way forever. And the statistics, even the statistics, which is scientifically proven, shows that with time and with therapy, everyone gets better. So don't lose hope on yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And I mean, I look at it like this. um with what we have with mental health as well, I think, and that's the thing, I think you said it beautifully, because it does get better in time. That's what I say, because people, if you want to change, you got to be able to make the change, and if you go through the steps, you go through therapy, it all works out in the end.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's not, you're not hopeless. You're sick, and it's okay to be sick. No one wants to admit that they have a mental illness, but just because it's invisible per se doesn't mean that it's not there. And just because there's not a magic pill to tell you, oh, you're no longer this person or you're no longer this sick, doesn't mean that there's no cure. It's a different treatment. It's a mental issue. A lot more goes into the brain. This is biochemical. This is social. This is everything. Psychology is probably the most underestimated science, and is the one that we should care about the most, because most people can keep themselves healthy, no blood sugar, cholesterol, whatever, but your mental health, no one takes it seriously, and that's a problem. That really is a problem.
Whew. First and foremost, I'm actually, here's the thing about when I do these shows, and I love giving people a platform to tell their story, whether it be in the adult entertainment industry, wrestling, music, what have you. I love what I do, and I get to interact with a lot of great people, and I'm going to include you in this as well, Brianna, because I think
Likewise.
you're very welcome, and I truly mean that. But I think what's interesting about doing these interviews is a lot of people don't realize, because when you look at people who get interviewed in the adult entertainment industry, you think we're just going to be talking about, having sex. I'll be honest, fucking, and it goes from there. No, there's a lot of deepness in it. And the thing with it is you ladies are people too, and I'll say this to the
Hmm.
guys: you guys are people too. You're all very smart. You're all very intelligent, and you have lives. There's lives outside of the adult entertainment industry. So
Yes.
so it's not like every show that you hear as far as being interviewed with porn stars is just going to be about, oh, so sex. Oh, you fucked this one. No, we're going to actually have a delightful conversation, and not, just steer away from that. We're going to get back to
Okay,
it.
what's your number?
Yes. There you go. I like that. But no, but in all seriousness, I have to say, and I'm glad that we actually brought this up, and I think you gave great insight on that.
Thank you. I mean, it's very important, seriously. If there's anyone that is interested in getting help and just they really don't know, because sometimes, you get overwhelmed, don't worry, just contact me and we'll figure it out.
All right. And by the way, I'm going to tell you straight up, as someone who also goes through it, I'll take you up on that offer for the future as well.
Perfect.
Now, I gotta say this first and foremost with you, and you're talking about being the Instagram and you're fashionista. First of all, I've seen a lot of your stuff. I know you do a lot of videos where you get to see you twerking, looking as only as you can look, looking as only as you can look. And I'm just gonna say this right now, and this is also just going back to me as a teenager, me as a male, and me loving the women that I do. I have to say this as a male, and I've learned this throughout my 27 years living on this planet. You know,
Long time.
yes, I'm a '90s kid, and I grew up in the '90s, growing up, graduating in the 2000s. Uh,
Right.
so what I look at it like this is too. Like I'm friends with, and I'll be honest with you guys, my 10-year high school reunion is coming up, and I still keep in touch with a lot of the girls that I made friends with from school and work, what have you, and they're all great, and I love each and every girl that I've come in contact and become friendly with and what have you. But I've always noticed this. When I was, relationships, what have you, I've always had a bit of a, and I love both all women, but I've always kind of had that preference, and I've always kind of enjoyed like the BBW side of things, and here's why. Just because I'm going to say this to you, we've always talked about the body confidence, but I'm also going to say I think you ladies overall have that, and I'm going to say this nicely, and tell me what you think. That voluptuosity factor, where it's just you have that certain je ne sais quoi about you guys, besides the overall personality, but just in the looks. But you guys have that voluptuosity factor that really it turns and attracts a lot of guys on.
Yes. You know what? Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what I think about that.
Go ahead.
I believe that absolutely every single man on earth, every single man, every single one loves big girls. Absolutely everyone, even if you're on denial. And you know what? The thing is that the concept about beauty and fat girls really depends on the beauty of skinny girls. And that's what we're trying to reshape, right? With this whole body positivity
Yes.
and fat positivity. Because it's always comparing size, it's always comparing even fashion. I mean, it was not until maybe 2000, I'll say 14, that we started getting some fashion, like real fashion for plus size women. Before, I would have to buy shit in the maternity section, and I was not looking bum at all. And it was frustrating. So that builds up less confidence in big girls. So it's something that it's gonna take time, but eventually everyone's going to see it for what it is. You're beautiful because you have to believe that you're beautiful, not because someone else tells you you are. And that's the whole point of this body positivity, because it goes back not only to being fat or not. You see a problem with self confidence and self acceptance in all sizes, and it comes really for just what the media tells you to buy, like, oh, if I want to look that way, this girl is like 100 pounds less than me, so I'm not even gonna try it. I'm not pretty enough. And growing up, I was fortunate enough to have a really rough mom. She was the first one to teach me that if I didn't love myself, fuck, I would have a fucking hard time. So just looking at you know what the plus size community has done so far, it just it's inspiring, but it's also refreshing because I know I'm part of it. And a lot of women come up to me even after the porn venture in my life. They come up to me and they're like, wow, like I had no idea that people that looked like me could do porn. And I'm like, yes, of course. Like, what's the concept of like the perfect porn girl? What you want on, how do I put this? Not trying to get so much into the sex part, but I feel like women, especially fat women,
Mhm.
have had to build the confidence and the personality to be likable by guys way more than girls. And that's probably what makes us more bubbly, more friendly, more nice to be around, because we're shaped that way. We have to be shaped that way in order to be accepted by others. Not saying that it's bad, and like, as soon as BBWs are considered hot, we're all gonna turn into bitches, right? But I'm saying it is really part of the mentality that fat girls have to have. It's like, oh, I have to be real and nice so you can be just a little bit nice with me. And I hate that. I want confidence. I want someone that if you want to be a bitch, be a bitch. You don't care. If you want to wear a crop top, wear a crop top. You have pimples on your butt, who cares? Wear a tongue. You don't like I have marks in my legs. I have psoriasis. So even mosquito bites will stay in my skin and never heal for at least 2, 3 years. And it used to bother me so much, so much. And I completely changed the subject, didn't I?
No, you're fine. Please go ahead. It correlates to what we're talking about. Go ahead.
I
No.
just said, I'm like, what? You just asked about baby dollars for yeah, nah, you
Nah, you're
went
cool. Please,
like
it was more like it was an explanation slash rant slash tangent. But no, I appreciate that because I can tell that you're very passionate about who you are and how you feel and going to your work, and that's why I love that. Because hey, if you got psoriasis, which I'll be honest with you, I have friends that have psoriasis. It's no fun. It really is not.
yeah.
And you know, people, and you know, you talk about pimples on your butt. Like, hey, pimples pop up on prom night. There's the old saying, you're like a pimple that pops up on prom night. It happens. But, you know, pimples and stuff, you can get rid of it. You know, get some cream, get some stuff.
Yeah.
You can help yourself. But look, you're fine. And I've told you this. And that's why I always put it as the voluptuosity factor because us as guys, I mean, you talk to, I'm going to use this. Let's use this as in like a high school analogy type of thing. You look at the jocks, like the most popular kids in school, right? You have the jocks. You got the cheerleaders, you know the cheerleaders, it's the cheerleaders. And mind you, I've had friends that were cheerleaders in school, and then there are some cheerleaders that are just, bitches. And I'll put that as lightly as I can. Because, they think their shit don't stink. I'm the most popular girl in school. Oh my God. Like the type of mean girls, that you see with Lindsay Lohan. Perfect analogy. But with you ladies, with the BBW community and girls, it's that confidence, like you said, and you're very bubbly, and I can appreciate the bubbliness. I like bubbly, I like confidence, I like that. That's why I guess me as a male, I've kind of got more of attracted to girls like yourself, and I could tell you, I think, like I mentioned, using you as an example, Breana, you're lovely, you got a very lovely personality, you're professional, and you're kind, and you're very genuine, and that's what I appreciate about people, the genuineness, too.
Thank you, thank you. And not to mention that fat girls were in every single art piece before media happened. So we were the hot ones.
Yes.
And we will become the hot ones again.
Well, I also have to say this as well, because we're going to get into your scenes, and we're going to talk about different scenes that you've done, but I got to say this. Man, I've seen that photo of you looking like a schoolgirl, and I'm going to tell you something right now. First of all, I've also loved this, and this applies to all women, looking like schoolgirls. I don't know, it's just something about us guys that, like we enjoyed the schoolgirl ensemble. We like, yes. So it's kind of like, for me, like, as again, growing up as a 90s kid, when you first see Britney Spears' Baby One More Time video, and then there's Britney Spears just doing the choreography, the dancing, hit me baby one more time. She's a schoolgirl, right?
Get me.
Yes, it's that fantasy that we have, but yes, the schoolgirl stuff, I have to say, I did see those photos, and those shots also came out very nice. I just want to put that over, too.
Thank you. It was a really fun scene. I mean, I worked with Liam King before, just outside of Plumpers, so it was like natural. It was like, yeah, we're just having fun. And whenever we get to the point of the scenes, I have some story funnies to share. Like some funny, like people don't expect that to happen.
Okay, well, what were some of those funny things? I'm kind of curious now. Go ahead.
Well, like for example, really don't think about you're looking at the senior, jerking off right into anal, and you had no idea that just 2 minutes before that I was crying my ass off, like holding to my life to the desk, just going like, okay, go slow, okay, do it again, and that everything is off camera, and not that I don't enjoy it, but it's not like my asshole is ready on command, like I need to work it out. And you don't see stuff like that. And it's funny because the camera person is just sitting down looking at me like, okay, are you done? And then the makeup artist is waiting on you if you ever need anything. And then the guy's just like, okay, am I hurting you? Am I doing this right? And then you're just like, okay, ready, let's roll. So it's just funny, like people think that you're always in the mood and you're always like ready, but no, a lot goes into it. At least on professional studio shots.
Yes, and they, first and foremost, they came out great. Number two, I'm trying so hard not to laugh. As soon as you just said, it's not like my ass wasn't on command, I'm like, I about doggone lost it.
It's true.
But yeah, and I mean, okay, and I will say this, yeah, I was also going to actually, you segued, because I was just going to say, it's not like you're, like, turned on or you're, like, in the mood all the time, there's a certain, it's a certain thing that goes into, said scene. It's just like, oh, yeah, here I am, I'm in the mood. No, it's just, yeah, I get you. I was actually going to segue that, but you answered that perfectly.
Yeah, not all the time. Especially you're wearing heels that are uncomfortable. And again, it's a huge cock going into your asshole. And you're not ready for it. It's not like you were asking. So it's not like your asshole is ready. Trust me, it's a lot. A lot goes into it.
So if I can equate this to anything, and I think you'll get a laugh out of this, it's kind of like Kevin Hart, Seriously Funny. No, I wasn't ready.
Yeah, just like that.
Okay.
It is. It is.
All right. Now, I also, besides Plumper Pass, and we talked about the schoolgirl stuff as well. I also see you've done a lot of. All right. There's the one. There was like puppy play when you're like. Also, we got the leash on. Now that I have to say, I did see that. And that was very interesting. It was very unique. Also, another great aspect. You get to have the collar around your neck. And I also did see you've done a lot of role play, a lot of POV stuff, and I believe you also did some of the body worship stuff. And I've also seen how that came out. I think, like I said, the content and the images of that were like very cool and very interesting and unique for one's eye.
Thank you. Thank you. I am a mix of a lot of kinks, but I definitely like to be submissive more than anything. I don't know, I just enjoy humiliation, and like the puppy play was just me walking around on a leash, and like him giving me orders, and like I kind of like to lose that power, especially because I always have that power in me. It's like a power play. It's like, okay, I'm always in control, and that's my personality. I'm trying to be like super anal about everything. Like, okay, this has to be like this has to be like that. So when I'm shooting porn, I try to let that other side of me take over. And that's my kinky side. I like to be spit on. I like to be stepped on. I don't know. I like to be called, a whore, a bitch. Like, just humiliate me. And it doesn't change anything in how I feel about myself. In any case, it just makes it hot. And puppy play was probably one of the first times I've ever, done any kind of like fetish, very like a specific fetish, because it's a niche actually. A lot of puppy play and all that is an actual niche. I
So
had fun, yeah. I'm having flashbacks. That's why I went mute. I'm like, yeah,
that's a
that
good.
was nice.
Ah, you're totally fine. No, I was gonna say I was actually gonna add to that. So you're kind of like the girl. So you're talking about being very submissive. So you're like the kind of girl that would like to get spanked and then just saying take it, take it, take it from the. Okay,
Yes, I
gotcha.
love pain too. I love pain.
Oh my goodness, but yeah, I know I totally get that. I mean, there's a lot of girls like that. I'm sure that are going to be listening to this, and some hell, even guys that like that. They
Oh
appreciate the
yeah.
submissive stuff. So yeah, I get it. And I mean, I've also seen you've done some interracial stuff. You Magic Montana. I did see that work. I did see you do a lot of stuff outdoors. So like I said, you're kind of like a jack of all trades and very unique with what scenes you do, and I like that about you.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I got to ask you as well with the Magic Montana stuff. I mean, you've done outdoors. You mentioned interracial. What was that type of shoot kind of like for you?
Magic Montana. He's awesome, by the way. He's very easy to work with. So far, actually, the easiest to work with so far. Um, the first time we met, it was random. We met on Twitter, and I'm like, hey, I see that you're located in Miami. I'm in Miami too. Let's shoot some porn. And then he's like, okay, I'm down. I have an Airbnb with someone else. Just swing by and we'll shoot something quick. The word was, we'll shoot something quick. I was supposed to be there and bounce out in like 2 3 hours. And my God, like we just got hooked. The sex was so good. It was amazing. We just have a lot of chemistry. And not only in bed, like as performers, like we just understood each other of what we wanted to like portray, what we wanted to capture and all that. We just did it. It was very easy to work with him. So I think we probably fought for like 12 hours straight. Like we slept a few hours and then we went to a different motel and we just keep shooting. And I have still a bunch of scenes that I haven't published with them. But yeah, I mean, it's been fun. It's always great when you find someone that is not only professional, but that also enjoys what they're doing. So that was my experience with him. He moves around a lot. He knows his game. He networks a lot, and he knows what he's doing. So it was very easy to work with him. Super easy, and I look super pretty sucking his dick. Not to say anything but if you want to check that out, I look so pretty.
Well, first and foremost, you know what's funny about this? Speaking of pretty, I'm just going to go behind the curtain with here. Folks, when we do these shows on Skype or whatever, some people, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people don't like the video. Some people like the voice interviews, and I dig that. But let me just first tell me this, because you were talking about not getting dolled up. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're pretty regardless. You don't even need to get dolled up. Just do you, all right? I just had to get that out there.
Thank you. Yeah, but I'm definitely like halfway done here and like I don't know.
You're
No
fine.
videos.
You're fine. Please just keep doing you. I had to put that out there. You are absolutely fine.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. First and foremost as well, because I did mention the outdoor stuff. Now, that's one of the things, like, I have seen,
Oh yeah.
you know what's interesting is, too, like, we have so many unique stuff, but I don't know what it is, but I've seen, like, a lot of the outdoor stuff and people in public. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm kind of, I might be different with this, but I was never, and it's hot. There are hot scenes of, outdoors and in public, but me, I don't know, I'm just kind of, like, shy. I guess you can leave it to that. I kind of just like behind closed doors, bedroom, the intimate setting. You could say I'm an old soul, just the whole bedroom stuff. But there's some hot stuff, and I'm not getting that. But I gotta ask you, what is it like doing scenes like outdoors? I mean, in public, the whole night on that front.
Well, for me,
Yes.
I feel I consider myself an exhibitionist.
Okay.
So it's hot. I wouldn't do it illegally. Like I wouldn't just flash in front of anyone. I wouldn't do that at all. But the adrenaline of like, oh my God, what if we get caught? Even if you're playing it safe, it's just different. It's like
True.
a different. It's a game. You do it just for the thrill.
Yeah, it's like the adrenaline goes up. It's like, hey, you mentioned, am I gonna get caught? Am I not gonna get caught? Hey, but like it's like an adrenaline rush. I get you.
Plus, it's really nice. Sometimes you get to see some. I don't know. Snails. I've seen a bunch of snails, and that's pretty nice. Maybe some squirrels, if you're into squirrels.
I like how you just turned that into like you're becoming one with nature. I take that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different power,
Oh my goodness, yes. But I will say this as well, and by the way, I have a couple final questions. And first and foremost, you've been an absolute joy and a pleasure to speak with. And I'm going to put the overture out to you. Anytime you want to come back on this show, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, thank you. Will do.
You're very welcome. Now, first and foremost, you're nominated for BBW Awards, Shape of Beauty, the whole nine. First and foremost, like I said, I hope you win. I will definitely be voting for you. You're welcome. Now, we've talked about, you give advice, beautiful advice about mental health. Now, I want to also go back to advice for a second because there are a lot of people like yourself doing your thing in modeling, doing your thing in the adult industry. So I have to ask you, for those that want to get into modeling, those that want to get in the adult industry, what would you give advice-wise for the ladies?
Network. You have to network your ass off. There is no easy way to get there. And if you get, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
Getting into the industry is not so hard because it's open to absolutely everyone. Now, if you're talking about modeling, that is not adult modeling. That's a different story. I wouldn't advise anyone that wants to be an actual model to get into the industry because it's really hard for you to get booked. There is a lot of stigma. A lot of companies, they don't want to be related to a porn star. It's stupid, but hopefully one day, that changes as well. One step at a time. There's a lot that we have to work on as a society. But if you want to become an adult model, just honestly network, put yourself out there. If you're shy, God bless the internet. The internet was a tool created for introverts. I am an introvert myself. I am super, super outgoing, behind closed doors. But that trains you, that gives you the strength and the maturity to actually start doing it in person. So start online. It's free to start on Instagram. It's free to do shadows for shadows with plenty of models and plenty of other pages that support whichever niche, whether you're a BBW or just any other niche. There is plenty of pages that are free, just for you to get your face out there. Get on Twitter, get on TikTok, get on YouTube if you can. Put your name everywhere and do it every day. And don't get disappointed if you don't see results immediately. It takes time, but you do need to put yourself out there. You need to network. And one problem that I have a lot is I don't like to ask. But one thing that life has shown me is that if I don't ask, I don't get shit. So either you ask with actions or you ask with words, but you have to put yourself out there, you know? That's my best advice. Start from there. Also go to conventions if you can. There's plenty that are free as well. Um, Network, just network. This is like Hollywood, just to say something, you know? It really depends a lot in who you know. And the way to know someone is, getting yourself out there.
Again, beautifully said. And first and foremost, I'm going to say this: you have great intellect and great from that point of view. Like I said, I'm blown away by what a lot you said. So I got to say thank you for saying it because that was just beautifully said.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now I also got to say this because just going back to the sex part about it, to quote the late great George Michael, "Sex is natural, sex is good, and everybody does it, but everybody should. Sex is natural, sex is fun." Sex is best when it's one-on-one. You know the drill. But like I said, you're doing your thing in that aspect. So I got to say, I'm going to say this again with the utmost sincerity and respect. I truly wish you nothing but the best happiness and continued success.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm working on it.
Now, first and foremost, this is also where I step back. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, your website where people can find you. The floor is yours, Miss Khalo.
Well, I am Breana Khalo all across the board. Breana Khalo, the spelling is Khalo, and it's pronounced like Frida Kahlo, which is, I love her. She's an inspiration and a role model. And yeah, sorry, Frida, I stole your last name.
First of all, I also got to give much love to Frida Kahlo. She is another one that's awesome. So I will second that because she's really great. I know and I've seen a lot of your posts. Yeah, she's like really a big influence on you there, Breana.
Yes, I mean, she's a big influence on a lot of feminists and just women in general, even politics and religion. And she was just out of this world.
All right. Links will be in the description below to everything. By the way, I gotta ask, what's with Instagram and Twitter taking down every one of you ladies' accounts? Like, geez, man. Like, I know a lot of you ladies had to create like a lot of accounts over and over again because you keep getting deleted and all that crap. Jeez.
Well, the first mass deletion experience was right after Sesta Fosta.
Gotcha.
Sesta Fosta, I'm sorry, was activated. And this law alone has a lot of flaws that are more, that are hurting us more than is helping anyone. One of the reasons why it's so crucial for us to be able to have a platform and not be the platform, it's because how else or which other safer way there is for me to advertise myself in this industry? It's not like I can go outside door by door. Hey, do you want to buy my porn? I can do that with my bathing suits for sure. It's weird, but okay, we're flex, but you still do it. But with porn, I mean, we need a safe place, and porn is not illegal. The bad thing is that humans are just this way. We take absolutely everything we have, and we find a way to screw it. And one of those, things we do is abusing people, which is sex trafficking and child pornography, and all these awful things that are sadly related to the industry, but it's not what the industry is at all. It's not that in the industry we're known to be pedophiles or a bunch of sex traffickers. Sex traffic is part of what a sex worker is exposed to, but it's still not illegal, and it's still something that listen, they can pull every platform from under our feet, and perverts are always going to find a way to find it, or anyone that and not to say perverts, I'm just making fun, but like anyone that is a porn consumer, I mean, they're not just going to stop doing it because someone tells them not to, but we can do it because we get our platform shut down. So it is painful. It is painful to see our accounts go because it takes time and it takes a lot of effort to grow a page, especially when you're in a niche. It's not like you can go just to say mainstream, and not to say only mainstream, but viral, just to say, I don't know, Mia Khalifa and a Bella Danger and all these people like that are, viral because that's what they are. As a niche, we don't really get that exposure, and we are the first ones to be targeted, So there's a lot of things that we complain about Instagram. There's a lot of white preference, no offense. Um, we see mainly black fat women being taken down. Uh, Anyone really of color, myself. So I feel that not only is wrong because they're not targeting the sex trafficking issue correctly, but they're also just being so obvious about who they don't like. In this case, it's fat women. In this case, is people that are sex positive, people of color, and it's it hurts my heart. It really does, because I know that everyone that loses their account loses the opportunity to make money, and I mean that's what we do, right? I mean, we're web entertainers. That's what we use. We're not on TV. We're on the internet. So that's one of our platforms, and that's not only that. There's plenty of sex workers that only share their lifestyles. They don't share anything that is related to their actual work, but they're targeted because they know somehow they linked it to their sex industry work, and they get shut down. It's targeted. This is targeted, and this is harassment.
Whew. I will say this first and foremost, no offense taken. I understand where you were coming from, and number two, I will say this as well. I think as people, we got to be united, not divided. So I just got to say that as well. So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
I totally hear you on that. And also, besides that, Miss Breana Khalo, besides your social medias, which will be in the description below this audio on my SoundCloud, soundcloud.com, just mclarkin92, and stephenmikeshow.com, I have to say this to you. Do you have any final words for your fans? I've been supporting you since day one.
Well, I have to say, you guys, girls, everyone, you are my everything. You are the reason why Brianna Cal exists. So thank you so much for making this happen and for supporting me. My love and appreciation goes with every single one of you, always and forever. And thank you. Thank you for everything.
Alrighty, so guys and gals, thank you all for listening to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. For the beautiful, for the intelligent, for the absolutely amazing Miss Brianna Khalo. My name is Mike Larkin. Thank you guys so much for listening to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. We will be back next time. And Brianna, once more, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. It was a pleasure. It was really nice.
All right, guys. Thank you, Brianna. And guys, have a great day. Talk to you next time.
Bye.